Hey team, well, we had 73% of our staff take our staff survey. So thank you to those who leaned in and provided your perspective so you can help us get better together. Now, in reviewing the comments, it feels like I want to cover today some tensions that we have to manage as a staff. So there's tensions to manage and there's also problems to solve. And if we get the tensions to manage confused with the problems to solve, we're going to end up frustrating ourselves and potentially each other. So I have 5 tensions to manage for our staff. And I think the first 2 are actually going to provide some additional color and context for the next 3. So the first one is that we operate in a matrix organization. What does this mean? This means that we have a central support team that's really responsible for strategy and structure of the organization. And we also have campus teams, which are responsible for the execution and relationships in our organization. What this does for employees in many cases is it creates a situation where the employee has not only a dotted line, but also a solid line supervisor. So they have to deal with and interact with central support, and they also have to deal with and interact with their supervisor at the campus. So in order for this relationship to function well, it is going to take additional communication and additional conversations. And the truth is, there's always going to be somewhat of a tension there. So this isn't a problem that is going to get solved and is going to go away. It's something that we have to constantly address. We have to constantly communicate it around to make sure that we are operating together and moving in the same direction together. So that's tension 1. We operate in a matrix organization. Tension 2 is our personalities. We all have different personalities. And as I read through some of the comments, I think I'd bucket them or break them up into 2 different areas or 2 different sections really. The yellows and the greens on our staff, and I don't know this for sure because this was an anonymous survey, but in general, they seem to want less structure and more relationships. They don't want the agenda to be so tight. They actually want us to take time to go out as a staff or as a team and spend time at a park getting to know each other a little bit better. And then the reds and the blues on the staff, they want more structure, they want more accountability, and several comments were like, well, let's just face it, the staff meeting game is dumb. Icebreakers in the meeting are dumb. We should just really get down to business and attack the details that we need to attack so we can wrap up the meeting in an efficient time and move on. So you see those personality tensions that we all operate. I mean, we just went through this as a whole church. So hopefully we're sort of familiar with how to navigate some of these different conversations or the way that these different personalities work together. And the truth is we have those on our staff as well. So a matrix organization and all of our individual personalities also color these next 3 or bring additional context to that. We're a large staff. We have 85 staff members and we continue to grow. We are going to plant more campuses. We are going to continue to grow. We are going to have more staff members. And the tension with that is you're not going to know everyone on staff. Now, potentially, because of your personality or wiring, that's going to be a problem for you. You want to know all the people that are on staff in an organization. So that's why we try to, at staff meetings, and some of the executive summary announcements where we announce the new positions, we announce the new roles people are in to help color and give some context what is going on in the organization. Also at staff meeting, golden microphones help with this. Also the staff anniversaries or announcing new staff so you can put a name with a face also help with this. But what I would ask is that if each of us, if you're feeling this way in that tension, 1, it's maybe just a tension to manage and you just need to realize you're not actually going to know everyone else on the Cedar Creek staff. But if you're feeling like that's not okay with me, I want to resolve that problem, what I'd ask you to do is take that some responsibility in that. At staff meeting, when you see someone else and you don't necessarily know them or their role or what they do at church, come 10 minutes early to staff meeting and introduce yourself to someone new on the staff and try to get a little bit more context about them and their life and their role on the church. So I think we have some responsibility as a staff, but also we can do better with some of that individual responsibility. That was tension 3. Tension 4 is we also have or operate with different managers. And as different managers, you have different responsibilities. So what we try to do is we try to evaluate if something is a one-time event or an ongoing event. A one-time event, we're probably going to be a little bit looser because we don't feel like we need a strategy or structure around it because it's just going to happen one time and then it's going to be gone. Where an ongoing event, we want to provide a little bit more clarity for how different managers we're going to handle this as an organization. Quick example, several of you seem to be holding on or made comments about how we handled the solar eclipse over a year ago. We viewed that as a one-time event. It might happen again, but it's going to be for 50 or 100 years or whatever the timeline is. So we gave some guidelines, but in general, different managers handled it a little bit differently. So I can also see why there was potential some confusion or a little bit different ways of handling it in the organization. Versus Fusion Camp or Camp Hours or Leadership Summit, something that is an ongoing, regular event that we're constantly executing year after year. We feel like we have some pretty good guidelines on how managers should be handling that with their staff members, and so we can all operate better together and be on the same page. The final one, there were several comments around this, would be, in general, would be response time. So again, personalities play into this. There were several comments that said things like, I think every staff member should be accountable to responding to all internal and external communication within 24 hours. And there's other ones that said, I feel like I'm constantly on, like I can never take a break, like I'm a slave to my phone and the notifications, and I always have to be on and I always have to be answering. So you see there's a tension in there to manage. I would just tell you personally how I handle this, and then you can figure this out for yourself. I, Josh, personally get no notifications on my phone, except for text messages and phone calls. So I really try to be, when I'm at work, I'm present at work. I'm responsive, I reply, and then when I'm at home, I be present at home. So I'm not getting email notifications at home. I'm not getting Teams notifications at home. That also means like sometimes I will check in, but I'm willingly knowing that I'm gonna step in and check my messages at that time. I also make sure to try and schedule my week and my hours when I need to be on when the majority of the team is on. It's also not going to work for me in my role to not have any notifications or to not be on Teams or email during our weekend services. So I structure my week to make sure that I can be on when the team is on and when they need me. And then when the team is off and I can be off, I'm also off. So I think some of that clarity we can work through on an individual basis. And if it feels confusing to you, I'd encourage you to have a conversation with your manager, look at your work week schedule, and also look at those times and really evaluate how you're handling those times when you're supposed to be off work. Ask yourself, are you a slave to your phone? Are you a slave to those notifications? Does this request actually need my immediate response? Do I have to stop everything I'm doing in order to respond? The answer is sometimes yes, that does happen. But the majority of the time, that's our own pressure we're putting on ourselves that we have to respond in that instant. And actually, if you respond 12, 18, 24 hours from now, it's going to be okay. So here's what I'd like you to do. Those tensions, I'm going to review them real quick again. Matrix organization, that's we all live and work in. Our own individual personalities, that we have a large Cedar Creek staff and it continues to grow. A one-time event versus an ongoing event, and our response time and some of those expectations. I think all of those are tensions for us to manage, maybe not necessarily problems to solve. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like to have a conversation with your team, if you're watching this video as a team, or at your next meeting with your supervisor. Think about some of these. Have a conversation with your supervisor. What are some of those tensions that maybe that you need to manage and you're viewing them as a problem to solve? And then in the upcoming weeks, we will have more details. We'll roll out some of the data, some of the scores from the rest of our staff survey. And we do have some problems to solve. So we're working on a few of those right now behind the scenes, and you'll see some more information on those in the coming weeks. Thanks, team. Have a good one.